If that bottom section of the graph didn't make a lot of sense to you, don't worry too much about it, because the real important part of the graph is up here, where we've got the upward sloping relationship between price and quantity. Generally, the action in our graphs is going to occur up here. That is, when the price is higher, quantity supplied is higher. And we describe this as the law of supply, that generally as price goes up, people want to produce more. Now, sometimes students have a hard time thinking about this, and I think one of the big reasons is that we're all used to buying stuff, so demand makes a lot of sense to us, but supply is a little bit less natural, right? Because most of the time we're not engaged in selling. A good way to understand why we've got this upward sloping supply curve is to realize that our suppliers have options. In the fishing boat example, our options were things like, well, we could choose not to fish, or we could use extra crew or fish for extra time. But imagine, say, a manufacturer. You've got a manufacturer producing computer screens. They are going to want to produce more computer screens when the price is high because, well, computer screens are not the only thing that they could produce, right? They could produce screens for tablets and cell phones. They could produce screens for TVs. And so when the price of computer screens is really, really high, that will encourage those producers to push their resources toward producing computer screens and hence produce more when that price is high. So I've got a little exercise here for you to start thinking about that. Imagine that you are a corn farmer. You've got, let's say, 1,000 acres that you will typically plant in corn, and indeed, if the price of corn is high, then that's exactly what you're going to do. But that's not the only thing you could do with that land. If the price of corn is low, then you have other options. So if you like, pause the video here and think about some of the other things that you could do with that land, and then come back and I'll describe a couple of the ideas that I have. Okay, so what else could we do with that land? Well, we've got a few different options, right? We could plant another crop. So a common one that we could plant around here is soybeans. That becomes more attractive when the price of corn is low. We could sell off the land, presumably for something like for housing, something like that. We could develop the land in some other way, develop for real estate. There's lots of other options that we could use this land for. And the point is that we shouldn't get hung up on, hey, we're a farmer, we can only produce one thing, and so we might as well plant all of our fields in corn no matter what the price of that corn is. The really useful thing for us to get out of this is we've got options, and so even though our default might be to produce corn, when the price of corn gets really low, we want to produce less. And so that gives us that upward sloping relationship between price and quantity.